Hey folks, as you see here we have the Springfield Armory XDS. It's the box, comes in a really nice box, probably one of the nicest cases I've seen. And here's what's inside of it. Here's all the reading material and the fired brass, all that's up top. It's the handgun itself. It's a nice fitted case. It fits in there very snug. It comes with one magazine here and a second magazine, so it comes with two 5-round magazines. Ammo carrier, 2-slot. Comes with two changeable back straps. So here's the extra one. And a holster. Made in Israel. I've actually been pretty impressed with this holster due to the design of it. It's actually pretty comfortable for kydex. You know, kydex sometimes when you sit down, especially in your vehicle, can hurt. But this actually feels really good. No problems at all with pinching or anything like that. Comes with a bore brush, barrel brush, and a lock. And also two extra sides here for the microfiber. So, let's take a look at it. Now, I first became a fan of the XD last year. I had never fired one. My little brother was home on leave and I got to fire his XD45, and you'll see that video. It's on my channel. If you haven't seen it yet, do a search on it. You'll see my channel, or see the video of me shooting it. And I was really impressed with how that handled and how smooth it was. It was a real joy to shoot. I really liked it. So when I first saw the XDS hit the market, I knew it was going to be good quality, and I was very intrigued, knowing how well the other one shot. But I was a little bit concerned. I mean, this is really small, and this is about the size of a Walther PPS, and the roughly a little bit bigger than the LC9. It looks a little bit bigger than the LC9, more so than it truly is, because it's squared, whereas the LC9 is rounded off and all that. But it's roughly the size of those 9mm, so I was a little bit concerned. It's 40 ACP. I thought it was going to have really big recoil, and also, I'll show you clear here. I have really pretty big hands, so I knew I was going to have this pinky floating in air, and I was concerned about it being so small and my hand so big that I would have a little bit of difficulty shooting it, whether it was going to jump out of my hand a little bit like the first time I fired the LC9, and follow-up shots, stuff like that, how quick it was going to get back on target. And I gotta say, I was really surprised at how well it shot. I was very surprised, very pleased. So a little bit about it. It is a single stack, striker fired, 45. Like I said, it holds 5+1 in the standard mag. Now you can purchase an extended mag for it, which holds 7+1, and I happen to have one of those here, purchased separately, and it gives you a full-size grip, which is really nice. It's shooting out of this is pretty awesome. I mean, it feels like a full-size handgun. It's 6.3 inches long, 4.4 inches in height, and 1 inch wide, which is really impressive for a 45. Weighs 21.5 ounces, which is very light. Barrel length is 3.3, as you see here on the barrel. It's melanite treated and has fully supported feed ramps. Some of you might know some of the earlier polymer handguns, such as the early Glocks, were not fully supported. It has a forged steel slide and, as I said, a black polymer frame. and there's the steel on it has a melanite finish to protect against corrosion, all that. The melanite, extremely durable. Good stuff. The trigger on mine broke at 6 pounds very reliably. And as you see, it does fire without the magazine in. The length of pull is very short. There's a little bit of take up right there. Not much. I mean, you're talking maybe a 1/4 inch, and then it's right there. And then the reset. Nice, short, crisp reset. I love the trigger on here. This is one of the better out-of-the-box triggers that I have fired as far as polymer handguns go. Any handgun, for that matter. I rank it up in the in the top of the better triggers I have fired. So the nice thing about the single stack grip is that it's going to fit comfortably even in small hands. But with the back strap, I have the biggest back strap on, so it does give me a really good grip. Even though I have pretty big hands, it gives me a good grip. And the texturing on this is really good. So you have good purchase in your hands, good grip, which I think is really nice. And I think that helps a lot with the shootability. What I said as far as me being surprised as to how well it's shot. And since it's so thin, it does make an excellent concealed carry handgun. And some of the other things also, the slide release on it is low profile, so it's not going to snag. Yet it's got enough on top. It's really works really well for your. I haven't had any issues, flicking it. Sometimes when they're new, you take that slide release. When you release it, it's kind of hard to hit. And I had that actually with my Glock. It's a little bit hard to hit, but with this, even though it's low profile, it still works excellent. There is no manual safety, so you don't have to worry about that snagging on anything. Also, the nice thing, the lack of manual safety, it does help you deploy the handgun faster. At first, I was a little bit uncomfortable not having a manual safety, but I have enough handguns now that do not have it, and I've done enough training. If you're a little bit nervous about not having a manual safety, exposure and training will help you overcome that. So if you have any fears about that, don't be. Buy a pistol, train with it, and your fears will go away, and you'll see how well they do, how safe they are, even without the manual safety. The controllability on it is excellent, and I've been shooting a lot of the micro compact 9mm because that's kind of what's hot on the market right now, and there's not really a significant amount of recoil in this compared to some of the micro 9mm. And I'll compare it directly to the LC9, and the one thing that this has going for it over the LC9 is that since it's striker fired, the bore axis is a lot closer to your hand, so you don't get the muzzle flip that you do with like the Ruger LC9. So that helps a lot as far as the controllability and getting follow-up shots, all that. So yeah, for me, I felt like it handled really well. The polymer, as you might or might know, is also recoil absorbing to an extent, much more so than steel frames. So that's another benefit to the polymer frame. And I know some of you guys out there like steel frames. Me, I don't discriminate. I like both. I like all guns. I like steel frame. I have some steel frame carry guns. I have some polymer carry guns. I like them all. But the benefit to the polymer is that it does absorb some of the recoil. As far as accuracy, first thing you'll notice when you look at the sights is that the front is fiber optic. And I really like fiber optic front sights a lot, depending on how they're made. This here has enough black steel around it so that even in bright light, you're going to pick it up. It's going to, actually in bright light, this looks very much like a traditional front sight that's not fiber optic. but when it is dark out, the fiber optic really stands out. So I really like that, and I kind of wish more handguns actually would have that fiber optic front sight. I think it's a great feature for low light. And to be honest, you know, I mean, a lot of times in situations with concealed carry, when you have to deploy your firearm in self-defense, it is going to be low light conditions. So that is something that's nice. The rear sight here is steel dovetail, and the way the sight's designed, and it's very similar to the way a lot of polymer sights are, they move the sight as far back as you possibly could go, and the front sight is about as far forward as you could possibly go. So even though it's a smaller slide than, say, like a full-size 1911, you're still going to get really good sight radius. In fact, on this one here, slide, like I said, was 6.3 inches. The sight radius is still 5.25 inches, which is really excellent. I was surprised at how accurate it was, and you know, the front sight, like I said, helps pick it up. I shot really good groups with it, you know, for a self-defense gun, so very pleased with the accuracy. One of the things also, a lot of the micro, or excuse me, not micro, but subcompact handguns have, most of them don't have, is a rail in the front, an accessory rail. This one has that, and I do like that. As far as, you know, it gives you options if you wanted to carry a laser or whatever. Even with the lack of a manual safety, it still has more safeties on it than traditional handguns. It has the trigger safety, which is Glock pretty much pioneered this one. It's not going to fire unless you physically pull the trigger. It has a grip safety like the 1911. It's also not going to fire unless you are grabbing the handgun. One thing, you know, about this, when I first got it, I was messing around with the trigger and trying to get a trigger pull. I'm like, man, it doesn't seem to be working. And so I put the magazine. At first I thought you had to fire it with the magazine because I put the magazine in and it fired then. But then I realized as I was sitting there messing around with it, I just didn't have my hand on the grip. I kind of forgot about it. You know, it's one thing I'm not used to. But, you know, and that's just kind of playing around with it, you know, holding it in my hand like this. Now, as far as if you're actually going to shoot it, there's no way you can grab this and not grab the grip. And I know some people are a little bit concerned. I've heard some law enforcement say, well, it's just one more safety to get in the way. But if you're grabbing this as securely as you should be, you're not going to have any issues with that rear grip safety on there. None at all. And the XD, it has internal safeties, so if it's bumped, dropped, it's not going to fire. It's similar to like a Glock, where the firing or the striker is pretty much prevented from. There's no way it can actually touch the primer unless these safeties are engaged. There's no way. Unlike a hammer-fired handgun. I shouldn't say all hammer-fired handguns, because a lot of modern handguns now, even the hammer-fired ones, do have a block. So I wouldn't recommend dropping them on the hammer, though. This here does have a loaded chamber indicator. Some people like them, some people don't. This one here is actually pretty unobtrusive. You really don't notice that it's engaged. I mean, you do see it, but it's not like some of the other ones that pop way up and it's bright red and you can see it a mile off. It's nothing like that at all. And you don't have, it's not tall enough where you have to worry about it snagging or anything like that. So it's not really an issue. So to kind of summarize things here about it, the one thing that, you know, is a very high quality pistol, and I really like it, but kind of in the details, and I like the details of pistol, and that's, you know, the stuff that they ship with. I love how Springfield Armory ships these things in boxes, and they are ready to go. I mean, you could pull this out of the box and carry it. You don't have to worry about buying holsters because it's included. You don't have to worry about buying extra magazine carriers because that's included. It does come with 2 magazines, which to me is the minimum that a handgun should go with. I don't buy off on this selling it or somebody marketing a handgun with just 1 magazine in it. I don't like that at all. So, and they have the 2 in there, which I like. So I'm very pleased. And the retail on this, the MSRP, the black one here is $5.99, and they also have a bitone, which is $6.69. Disassembly on the XDS is pretty straightforward, and it does have a takedown feature that I really like. Some handguns, you got to grip them, move them back just a little bit, and line them up just right and all that. I really like this one in that it actually locks to the rear to get it to disassemble it, and I really like that. This one here, this front takedown pin is low profile, so you're not going to have to worry about, if the slide is to the rear for whatever reason, it coming undone or flipping up. It's pretty solid and low profile, so that's not going to happen. So once you flip that switch, you ease it forward, pull the trigger, and slide comes right off. As a completely enclosed spring. There's a nice feed ramp. It's polished, very nice. It's a good barrel. Nice and solid. Here's the loaded chamber indicator. As you see, it's not a big bright thing. It's more of a feel process than anything else. You're going to feel that it's up. It's no bright red, and it doesn't come up that high. So I like that. Lock it to the rear, switch, boom. And that is it. As I said, this here is the Springfield XDS 45 ACP with the 3.3-inch barrel. If you have any questions, please let me know. Semper Fi.